The first kind of databases we're going to see is the relational databases, and for it, we have RDS. RDS stands for Relational Database Service, so it's very clear that it's only for relational databases, and it will be using the SQL language. So it's a managed database service for databases that will use SQL as the query language, and it will allow you to create databases in the cloud that will be managed by AWS. These databases can be of different kinds. It could be a Postgres, MySQL, MariaDB, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, and finally, something called Aurora, which is a proprietary database from AWS, which we'll be seeing in this lecture as well. So why would we use RDS instead of deploying our own databases on EC2? Well, RDS is a managed database service, so provisioning the database will be automatic. The patching of the operating system will be done by AWS. We will have continuous backups and restore options with point-in-time restore. We'll have monitoring dashboards to see if our database is doing good. We'll be able to scale the reads by creating read replicas and improve the read performance. We will have the way to set up multi-AZ to make sure that we're ready to have a plan for disaster recovery against a whole availability zone going down. And finally, we can set up maintenance windows for upgrades, and we can scale vertically and horizontally. The storage is going to be backed by EBS, would it be a GP2 type or IO1 type volume. And the only thing that we cannot do with an RDS database is that we cannot SSH into your RDS database instance, okay? We're just using the service. AWS manage entirely the database for us, so we cannot use the SSH utility to see what's going on within our database. Okay, so where does RDS fit within our solution architecture? Well, we have our load balancer, and it's fronting multiple backend EC2 instances. They're possibly into an auto-scaling group, and they need to store and share the data somewhere. And this is structured data, so they're not going to use EBS or EFS or EC2 instance store. They will be using a database. And in this example, it is a relational database, so SQL based. And the EC2 instances will be connecting to the database and doing read writes and all at once. So they will be sharing the database in the backend. And this is a classic solution architecture, not just using RDS, but using any kind of database. You have the load balancer layer that will be taking the web request, the backend EC2 instances doing the application logic, and the last tier, which is the right-hand side, which is going to be the database tier, doing the reads and the writes of the data. Okay, so this is for RDS. So now for Aurora. So Aurora is going to be a database technology created by AWS. It's not open source, and it works the same way as RDS. We have our EC2 instances connecting directly into Amazon Aurora, and Aurora supports two kinds of database technologies. It supports PostgreSQL and MySQL. The idea with Aurora is that it's going to be cloud optimized, and so there is a 5x performance improvement over MySQL on RDS and a 3x performance improvement over using Postgres on RDS. On top of things, we don't need to worry about the storage of an Aurora database because the storage will grow automatically in increments of 10 gigabytes up to 128 terabytes. Even if Aurora is going to be more expensive than RDS, about 20% more, it's going to be more efficient, and so it should be more cost effective. Finally, Aurora is not something that's included into the free tier of AWS, but RDS is, okay? So from an exam perspective, RDS and Aurora are going to be the two ways for you to create relational databases on AWS. They're both managed, and Aurora is going to be more cloud native, whereas RDS is going to be running the technologies you know directly as a managed service. Now we'll see you in the next lecture just to give it a go and try to create our first database.